about that. Today, I want to talk to you about my buddy, Robb Holman. Robb is a go-getter from Philadelphia, PA. He's written 3 great books, Inside Out, All In, and the new one, Move the Needle. He's got his own podcast, and he was just named one of the top 30 leadership speakers in the whole wide world. Played a little professional basketball along the way. So he's got some wisdom he's going to share and tell us today. Robb, what's going on, buddy?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you, Terry. You do look good. You grow a better beard than I do. We won't let that detract from some things I really want to share with all of you. I want you to picture this for a moment. I was with my soon-to-be wife, this is years ago, watching an amazing movie, and I get a startling phone call. On the other end of the line, there was a young man whose voice was shaky, and he proceeds to tell me this: I'm going to kill myself. Whoa. I mean, like, I was not just taken back, I was fearful. I was anxious. I was stressed out. I didn't know what to do. Have you ever felt like that before? Might not be as extreme in your life, but ever been put in a situation where you don't really know which way to go? You look up, you look down, you're looking for help. You almost feel just paralyzed in that place. That's how I felt. What you might need to know was about 2 weeks later, I was a part of a church, a non-denominational church in the greater Philadelphia area. And it was an evening service on a Sunday night. And after the teaching, I was a part of a team of counselors. We love to pray for people. We love to counsel people with just certain challenges in their life. And I was up front. And after the message, if you had a need, a challenge, you were asked to come down if you wanted to. And this young man comes down to me, approximately 18 years of age. And he begins to, like, tears flooding down his face, sobbing, basically sobbing. And he started to tell me certain things about his life. Never met him before. And the music, because post sermons for a lot of churches, the music was a little loud. So we went into another room. And he proceeded to tell me that he struggled with alcohol addiction. He struggled with major depression. And I was able to exchange some words with him that particular evening. And I said to him, if you ever reach a certain place where you don't know where to turn, here's my number, call me at any time. Well, don't you know, he took me up on that. That young man that called me on that Friday night when I was with my soon-to-be wife watching an amazing movie, that young man called me and said, I want to kill myself. Now, I try to pull from my past experiences. I leaned on my girlfriend at the time, my fiance, and I got from him where he lived. And that's about all I could get out of him because he was clearly under the wrong kind of influence. He was so drugged out. He was so over alcohol, you name it. He could barely speak, but I got his address. So what did I do? Without overthinking the situation, although I just described to you how I felt, I rushed over to his house. I was met by his mom at the front door, who was in complete panic mode. Robb, my son's in the back of the house. He's in the kitchen floor. He's completely passed out. And so I proceeded to run to the back. His vitals were fine. He was completely face down on the kitchen floor. And for the next 45 minutes, I held him in my arms as though he was my own son. I rubbed his back. I cared for him. I was praying for him. I didn't know what to do. And then after about 45 minutes, to be real, I almost felt like my job was done. It was kind of interesting. I go back to the front of the house where his mom still was, and we started to talk, and I started to share with her what that time with her son was like. And unbeknownst to both of us, just minutes later, he comes out and walks into the room in which we were talking. And I kid you not, he had a renewed sense of purpose that he'd never had in his entire life. You could see it all over his countenance. You could see it all over. It was like he was shining. It was so weird. It was so strange. And that started a friendship between me and this young man in which I mentored him. And quite frankly, like, he taught me a lot about life. And he also taught me a lot about leadership. And so I share that story with you because there's one thing that I really want to get practical with you that I learned from not only that one really scary night, but what I learned in our friendship together that has lasted now for years. And it's this, and I think it's very applicable to sales. It's really applicable to life. The wake-up call for me, I was always told growing up, and I think this is good, there's no problems with it. I was always told this rule in life, in leadership, in sales, and just dealings with people, that it's the golden rule. Like, you treat others how you want to be treated, right? Can I get like a yes and amen to that? Who's here heard that before? Yeah, put it in the reactions, put it in the chat room. We were raised, we were brought up that way. We've learned to sell that way. And there's no doubt about it. It makes a pretty big impact. But the lesson that I learned through this friendship with this young man who really started to get back on his feet again. We invited him into community, got him counseling. And I'm really proud to share with you, I touched base with him just months ago. He's been married for over 7 years, has 3 kids. He's a police officer in the greater Philadelphia area. And it's just amazing where his life has gone. But the lesson is, as good as the golden rule is, up to that point in my life, honestly, I just would operate and function out of the golden rule. I want to treat people the way I want to be treated, you know? But what he showed me was there's something perhaps that supersedes that rule. And it's called the platinum rule. The platinum rule isn't treat others how you want to be treated, because in essence, what that's really doing is, although it's good and it can reap some wonderful benefits and rewards, it can kind of actually be selfish. Treat other people how you like to be treated, how you want to be treated. You, me. We can actually sell to people out of that place. Again, not bad. It's better than nothing. It can. But what this young man started to show me is he had deep hurts. He had deep pains. And if I try to push on those, on what, or project on him what I think he needs and how he needs it, would I be doing him a service or a disservice? But this exchange of friendship, we started to enter into this season of life where I did more listening than speaking, where he was actually educating me, where he was actually telling me how he really felt and the reasons why he felt that way, et cetera, et cetera. And certainly I had life experience. I had things that could be put on the table to help him. But I almost felt like in the midst of this relationship, I need to suspend those things. I need to hold back, not go into my problem-solving mode. Sound familiar as a salesperson? I got what they need. Sound right as a husband or a wife? I got what they need. Sound good as a neighbor? I know what they need, and I just need to go and fix that problem because I know what I would want. But this young man, his name's Johnny. Johnny showed me, slow down, Rob. Really, he was crying out for community. He was crying out for the stranger to really get to know him. And so what would it look like if we begin to go from the golden rule and really intentionally and consistently feed in and out of the platinum rule, which is don't treat others how you want to be treated, but treat others how they actually want to be treated. Now, I understand, y'all. I understand this, okay? I'm even using Southern language. I'm not from Nashville or whatever. I'm saying y'all now. You get me going, I'll go all day about this. But here's what I'm trying to bring out, okay? What we're saying, going from the golden rule to platinum rule, takes time. It takes time. It takes time to get to know someone. Sometimes if we ask them how they're doing, they might take a half hour, dare I say 2-3 hours for some people to really tell us how they're doing. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the patience. I don't even know if a salesperson, my business is going under. I don't know if I have what it takes to go down that road too far. Matter of fact, I'm in sales. I'm not in therapy here. I didn't sign up for that, but we are in the people business. We did sign up for that. And if we truly want to not just motivate people with latest manipulative strategies and techniques to move them into our next process in the sales cycle, But if we truly and genuinely care about people and want to move them, not to treat them how we want to be treated, but treat them the way they want to be treated, all of a sudden, that's where the magic happens. And I'll tell you, it's like this subtle shift, but when we go down that road and allow time, it makes a world of difference in relationship, in sales relationships. So I want to get practical with you, okay? What I found is it could be a prospect of yours. It could be a business partner of yours. You could be rolling solo. You could have just a team of 3 or 4 people within your company, whatever it looks like for you. We're all different places. We're all different spaces, okay? So I want to make this applicable to you. Let's just hone in on the one person right now. Maybe that one team member, that one prospect. What would it look like if you get together with them on a consistent basis? You get them in the calendar. Many of us already have those people in the calendar. But when we actually get together with them, as tempting as it is to go down the process professionally with them, as challenging as it can be, or as tempting as it can be to give them what we know they need and what they want, but we begin to discipline ourselves to actually care more about them as human beings and less about professionals. And could it be when a person, a prospect, actually feels like you care about them as a human being first, it opens up dialogue that would never, ever be there otherwise. It lets us into their life. They're let into our life. And think about that for a moment. That's genuine human-to-human exchange right there. We want vibrant and lasting and sustainable relationships with prospects that become clients and clients that become best friends in a sense. It's operating on that platinum rule. And it starts one prospect and one person at a time. So if you find yourself going down the road, the default road of talking about business, talking about the sale, making sure you give them what you know they want and what they need, hold back. Discipline yourself long enough to where it truly becomes a lifestyle you live. And as a natural result, here's what my findings are. I'm just being real with you. My findings are the prospects are compelled to move out of that place. Wives and husbands are compelled to move out of that place. Neighbors are compelled to move out of that place. Communities are compelled because we can do things because we ought, we should, or we're paid to do it, okay? Or we can do things because we're compelled to do so. Because there's one in our life that is operating on the platinum rule. So I appreciate you so much. Hopefully Terry behind the scenes said to y'all how much passion I have for life, for people. You're getting all Rob. I mean, if I was there live with you, you'd see I'm 6'4". I got a wingspan like I'm 6'7". I'm 46 years old. I've been married. It'll be 18 years in May with 3 amazing kids, 13, 11, and 6. And with all that being said, I feel like I'm 5. I feel like there's so much in my heart that I want to pour out on people and help them and help serve them. And you all have given me a tremendous opportunity to do at least a little bit of that today. So for that, I'm so grateful. Terry, back to you.
Thanks, brother. You know what I call people who've been married 18 years?
Who's that? What's that?
Rookies. So, hey, so, I mean, I tell you, there's nothing more powerful than shining the full light of your humanity, your full presence, your full essence. When you shine that into another person directly, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be noticed, they want to be appreciated. And it's so rare that that happens. When you do it, it's like a shock to the systems. They'll light up. You can see the light in their eyes when you do it. I love that. And I'll give you a sales example of exactly what Rob was talking about. We had this meeting 2 weeks ago, except we didn't have this meeting 2 weeks ago because I was traveling. I was in New Mexico training a car dealership. And he had called me and he wanted me to help them with their CSI, their customer satisfaction index, where they have to fill out all these forms after you buy a car. And I'm doing my pre-training meeting. I'm going through and finding out exactly what he wants me to talk about, and writing down and coming up with the word tracks and the verbal judo that they need to get this. And he keeps going on and he's dancing around in circles. So I just shut up and let him talk his way through it. And he finally says, Terry, I guess what I really need is I want you to come down here and make these people feel like we believe in them. They want to know that we're supporting them. We're behind them. It wasn't about the numbers. It wasn't about sales. It wasn't about the corporate CSI. It was about that human thing. And exactly what Rob's talking about. So it's all about humans. I don't care what you're selling your humanity and making some other person feel your humanity, feel your presence. So Robb, thank you so much for joining us here today. We got a little time. Who else has got some questions? See, let me put this back where I can see everyone. And if you want to raise your hand or just hop right in, we're all good to go. Who wants to chat?
Hey, Terry, I see that Bethany in the chat room said her son's 6'5". Now listen, Bethany, something you may need to know now. I'm 6'4.5", so it depends on who I'm around. Sometimes I go a little higher. I say I'm 6'5". Sometimes if I feel, I don't know, I say I'm 6'4". So I'm kind of caught in between, but your son and I would get along just fine, I'm sure.
So one time a doctor measured me at 5'6.5". So I've been 5'7" every day of my life since then. I don't care.
So I am almost 5'8". Y'all might not know this. I don't realize and that's not tall, but if I get pictures with a girlfriend or whatever, then they're almost always shorter than me. So 5'8's not tall, but yeah, but my son and husband also have this huge wingspan. It's like you said, it's like there's, it's almost like it's 7 feet across. They have these long.
Patricia, you have a question?
I have something to say. It's Monday, isn't it President's Day in America?
Yeah.
So I did a post on LinkedIn today about President George Washington. And just like us, he has flaws. He had flaws and he has strengths. And so that was my question to everybody. Despite our flaws, what kind of impact can we make in the world today? Our circle might be smaller than George Washington's, but we can still have a good impact. And I think Robb gave us some instruction about that today.
We have a very quiet group in here today. Usually we have chatters. So Cody, what's going on, buddy?
Hey Robb, I want to thank you for coming on the call today and giving your wisdom. I really enjoyed it, and it just gives a whole new perspective to me. So I appreciate that. So I just wanted to give you a shout out on that one.
No, Cody, thank you. And yeah, Bethany, thanks too for sharing. No, total joy. And listen, at the end of the day, we all know, especially in sales and in life, it should be about people. There's no doubt about it. But we all need these reminders, don't we? We all need these reminders because sometimes we just get sucked down these roads of making that money and everything. And I know I need it. I'm putting up 2 hands on that. I need those reminders of people in my life all the time saying, hey, Robb, we know you love people. We know you care about people, but make sure that you do more listening than speaking. Make sure that you do. And I'll even give a real practical example too. Like I learned this in marriage, although Terry, not as long as you have, but I've learned this in marriage quite a few times over the years. It's like even with my own wife, I want to be real with you. Like I used to go in problem solving mode because my heart was in the right place. I wanted my wife, like if she was struggling, there was a challenge or something she was facing, I just wanted her challenge to go away. So what did I do when she brought it up? God, put in the chat room what you think I did with my wife, especially the early part of my marriage. And I want you to ask me the question, did it work? So go ahead. Anyone want to chime in? Like, what do you think I tried? Or you could just unmute yourself and just like, okay, avoidance. Yeah.
I know
if there's a problem,
Robb,
I'll solve it.
Yeah. There you go. Now you're singing one of my favorite songs there. Right there, Terry. Yeah. Fit it, tried to fix it, avoidance. I was trying all these things and more. And really, what did my wife really want? She wanted me to listen. There you are, Patricia. She wanted me to listen. She wanted sometimes a hug. That was it. Sometimes our prospects just quote unquote, here's air quotes now, they just need the hug. Sometimes they just need the listening ear. But we've got to take the time. We got to be aware. We got to take the time that's necessary to get to know them and allow them to get to know us. So it allows space for us to, in a sense, like, all right, is this the time they need a hug? Is this the time that they want my input? Is this the time they just want me to be quiet and listen? but it definitely requires some sacrifice on our end, especially if you're an extrovert of extroverts like I am. So I even see Patricia said, put down the phone. I love that. So just some thoughts there too.
So the best-selling automotive salesperson in the United States of America, he sells Chevys next door to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. He sells 150 of them in a month. The average salesperson sells about 10 cars a month. So he's selling 15 times what the average salesperson does. And I've seen him interviewed. He'll go on shows and they'll say they want to do the the Grant Cardone stuff. Sell me this pen, sell me this pencil. And they want to see his verbal magic. And Ollie Reed is his name, real quiet, soft-spoken gentleman. And he says, well, I listen to what they say and I try to help them solve their problems. But mostly I remember that there's never anyone anywhere more important than the person right in front of me, right here, right now. And he gives them his full attention. And it's not magic. It's just opening your eyes and hearing people, seeing them.
Right. That's right.
Jose, what's going on, buddy?
No, just thank you, Rob. I'm familiar with the platinum rule. As soon as you brought it up, one of the first thoughts that came through my head is it's great, but it's significantly harder to implement, because to implement it, I have to get to know you. Like if to implement the golden rule, I just need to know me. Versus, and as you were going through your example with your wife, it took us 3 years of me giving my wife options and solutions for her to finally lose her temper and tell me to shut up. All she wanted to do was talk about her day so she could get the thoughts out of her head and didn't have to think about it anymore. Yeah. And every time I brought up a solution, I was just making her think and rehash it again. And then it took me probably another 2 years of biting my tongue till it bled to get that to be a little bit more of a natural habit. But as you went through your talk, I prior to moving into finance, I did counseling in a drug and alcohol rehab, and getting to know people and where they were became an important part of that, because you can't help someone unless you've built a connection, and you can't build a connection until you know where that connection's going to. Another piece of what you brought up in my mind is a book that I haven't read in a little while, but I may reread it now. It's an older book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Great read, because in spite of the title, the main point of the book is you actually have to genuinely get to know and care about people if you want to be able to influence them. Yeah. And so like all of these, thank you so much, because you just brought up all of these thoughts that kind of went swirling around in my head while you were talking. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And two, thank you for that resource, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Another great resource, oldie but goodie, is the 5 love languages. Now it's meant for marriages. Some of us know that back in was it late 90s or something. But Chapman, who wrote that book, The 5 Love Languages, which is his premise in the book is to help create and sustain healthy marriages, is, hey, don't project your primary love language, yours, on your spouse. Get to know what theirs is so you can faithfully serve them. Well, don't you know Chapman, just a couple of years ago, he co-wrote a book on the 5 love languages, and made it pertinent for the workplace. And I think it's like the 5 languages in the workplace. And so he still uses like physical touch, but not in a weird way, not by like but he uses it as a very relevant thing with like physical touch, service, quality time, words of affirmation. Anyway, if you're not familiar with Chapman's work, again, he gets the attention off of you and onto that other person, whether it be a spouse. It's applicable across the board with prospects, and you just take it into your own world, right? Your universe. And say, all right, what can I do to better get to know them and then serve them faithfully in that area? So another resource, I think, to build off of yours, Jose, as well.
So Rob, you've shared with us. Let's take a few minutes to listen to you about you and how we can help you.
Oh, it's very thoughtful of you. I in this season of my life, I do quite a bit of speaking and writing. So I'm writing my next book right now. I give a lot of opening keynotes. I don't know, people tell me because of my energy or something, but I love to set the tone. I've been told ever since I was even a little kid that Robb, you have some things on your heart and you're not afraid to share them. Now, thankfully, when I was 5, I didn't really know how to share them, or I would do more damage than good. At age 46, hopefully I'm doing a little bit more good than damage. However, I'm saying all this to say, if you know of anyone, a leader that really wants help learning how to lead from the inside out, have them get in touch with me, right? If you know of a meeting organizer, oh my goodness, this conference, Robb, I think you'd be great for this conference to do a keynote there, to stir the pot as it relates to things that really matter, learning how to lead from the inside out. In other words, going from your head into your heart and leading faithfully out of that place, starting with you. If you know of someone like that, a meeting organizer, an event planner, an executive, whatever it is, a friend, a neighbor that you really are like, I got to connect with them because there could be some magic there, let me know. I'd love to connect with them. And if you have any questions too, like feel free to message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're at. I love to connect with people without a doubt. Can you tell I'm a people person?
And the books are available on Amazon. Yeah. You can always
Yep.
get the books.
All the books on Amazon, websites, robbholman.com. And yeah, so I am so full with stories and different things, but you all have been so gracious just to hear a couple of them today. One primary one, which I thought was really relevant to the topic at hand. So thank you.